How are we, folks? Thank you for joining me on this Friday. This is the New Populist, and I am Dave Brown. As you already know, it seems that the Israelis have attacked Iran, looking to decapitate their leadership. And we knew this was coming. It's unfortunate, but very, very predictable. And where it goes from here, God only knows. But in this video, I want to talk about a spat in MAGA world between Mark Levin and Tucker Carlson. And Tucker has been very anti-war the last few years, whereas Mark Levin, he is a neocon, if I'm allowed to say that, and he has been beating the war drum now for decades when it comes to Iran, calling them fascists and Nazis. He calls them the Islamo-Nazi regime. So he is very happy that the Israelis have attacked Iran. Now, one thing that really annoys me is these accusations of disloyalty. And in this case, Mark Levin has accused Tucker Carlson of essentially being a sellout who has been bought by the Qataris. So we have this tweet here where he says, Chatsworth Carlson, propagandist buffoon. And he has several tweets about Chatsworth Carlson, his little pet name for Tucker Carlson, to insult him. So he is saying that Carlson has sold out to the Qataris, and how dare he? Now, here's why this really, really annoys me. Because when it comes to Israel, they are 1,000 times more influential, and we have a complete double standard for what they do to us. So my challenge to Mark Levin is, why haven't you ever talked about the espionage against the United States by Israel? And there's one case in particular I want to talk about, and I've spoken about it before in the past, and this is the case of Jonathan Pollard. Jonathan Pollard was an American who was caught spying, and this is what he did. He, in '84, Pollard sold numerous state secrets, including the National Security Agency's 10-volume manual on how the U.S. gathers its signal intelligence, and he disclosed the name of thousands of people who cooperated with U.S. intelligence. So Jonathan Pollard, American spy, he was caught and he was put in jail for life, although he did get out in, I think, 2021 or around there. So what happened when he got out? Well, it says here, Pollard went to Israel, and he was met in Israel by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he was given a government stipend equivalent to that of a Mossad or a Shin Bet agent. So, an American caught spying for Israel was let out. He went to Israel, and he was greeted by the prime minister there and given a stipend equivalent to that of a Mossad agent. Now, here's the kicker. He was flown there on the private plane owned by Sheldon Adelson. And here is Netanyahu and Pollard on the tarmac of the airport. But Sheldon Adelson, he's an American, and he has given Trump and Republicans $424 million since 2016. So this major Republican donor in the United States let his plane be used to fly an American spy to Israel, where he was greeted by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. How insane is that? So, one correction, he did die in 2021, so it was actually his wife who was alive still when the plane was used. But his wife, Marion Adelson, in 2024, gave $100 million to the Trump campaign. $100 million. And she, in 2020, was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Donald Trump. So, Mark Levin, you want to talk about disloyalty. You want to call Tucker Carlson a Qatari agent. Why is one of the biggest donors to the Republican Party helping traitors? And why is our greatest ally, Israel, why are they greeting this traitor in such a way where they're celebrating him and giving him a Mossad pension, essentially? Greatest ally? And Netanyahu is Israel's greatest prime minister and friend to the United States? This is an absolute joke. Imagine this. Imagine what Mark Levin would say if there was a spy who was of, say, Russian descent caught. And he was let out of jail. And he was flown to Moscow on a private plane owned by an American of Russian descent who was a mega donor to the Democrat Party. And this spy was met in Moscow on the tarmac by Vladimir Putin, and then given a pension equivalent to that of a KGB agent. What do you think Mark Levin would say then? He would go absolutely ballistic. And he would be right to do so. But when it comes to Israel, different standard completely. And in fact, we completely ignore it. Doesn't even get reported anywhere. So why haven't you heard this before? And now that you've heard it, how do you feel about it? That the biggest donors to the Republican Party are in bed or are assisting and helping people who have severely damaged U.S. national security. And what does it say about Benjamin Netanyahu, our friend who comes here almost every few months to stand in front of Congress and give a speech? Why was he meeting this traitor on the tarmac like a hero if he's our greatest friend and ally? I want to hear Mark Levin answer those questions and actually even acknowledge it. He won't. He never will, of course. And one thing, if you've ever heard his radio show, he does all the time. He gets on there and he challenges somebody like Chuck Schumer or some Democrat and says, "Mr. Producer, call their office. Get him on the radio." But he won't come on because that person's a coward. They won't come on my show. When have you seen Mark Levin ever challenge somebody who was real, who had substance, and had a debate with them? Do you think he would ever sit in front of Tucker Carlson, person to person, and have a debate? Or with Dave Smith, or Jeffrey Sachs, or Max Blumenthal? Anybody who's actually has real substance? Would Mark Levin ever do that? Of course not. He will stay on his radio show calling other people cowards. He'll show up on Hannity's show and rant and rave, and go on his own show and rant and rave. But he will never actually confront somebody who has gravitas, who could actually have a real debate, because Mark Levin is actually the one who is a complete coward, who is promoting war for the billionth time and attacking and sliming anybody who dares disagree with him, like someone like Tucker Carlson, who is in fact a patriot. So I'm sick of it, and people like Mark Levin have to keep being called out because they cannot be allowed to get away with this. Well, that is it for now. If you are new to my channel, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.